Believe it or not, this optical illusion will let you know if you should drive in the rain or not. Take a look at this image. Try to find the sequence of numbers hidden inside it. Okay, go! Did you say 3,452,839? If you did, then your contrast sensitivity is on point. The so-called contrast sensitivity helps you to clearly see the outline of small objects. If this feature is not well developed in your system, then you shouldn't really drive in the rain or even when it's foggy out. Take a look at this image. What animal is not depicted here? A rabbit, a duck, or a snail? The picture definitely doesn't depict a snail. Way to go if you got that right. How many different scenes can you spot in this image? 3? 4? Take a guess. It's only 2. You should be able to see the chalice in the first scene. And then, when you change your focus, you should be able to spot the profile of 2 faces with a white background. Okay, take a look at both images. Can you tell if the circle on the right is larger than the circle on the left? Believe it or not, these 2 circles are actually the exact same size. This illusion is known as the Ebbinghaus illusion, and it was discovered by a German physiologist in the early 1900s. One of the possible explanations for why our brain glitches when looking at this image is due to the size of the external circles. Since the circles on the right are much bigger, they make the one from the right look smaller than the one on the left. Can you stare at this parrot's eye for 15 seconds? Just keep staring at it. I'll tell you when you can close your eyes. You're about to witness a great example of an after image. 3, 2, 1, and close your eyes. Can you see a red parrot? Isn't it amazing that even though this parrot is black and white, you have the illusion of seeing the color red? Again, this is just your brain trying to guess the color of something. Behind all of these little black dots, there's an image. Are you part of the 1% of people that can see it? It's a minion. Congrats if you spotted that. Here's another one in this style. Can you see what's hidden here? It's a Ninja Turtle. Honestly, did you need to be a bit of a ninja to see that one? And what about this one? My, it's Homer Simpson. So now there's something hidden behind black stripes. How's your X-ray vision working? You got it if you said it's one of the dragons from How to Train Your Dragon. That's cute. Can you tell which circle in this image is the darkest one? Uh-oh, that was totally a trick question. All the circles are exactly the same color. This is a classic example of the saturation optical illusion. It shows how our brain perceives color in a very subjective way. The lighting and background of an object influence how we see it. So when the gray circle is put against a darker background, we tend to believe it's brighter than its true color, and vice versa. This illusion is called the impossible triangle. But wait, what makes it so impossible? You only have a few seconds to figure that out. The so-called Penrose triangle is also known as the impossible triangle because it could never exist in reality. This magical triangle defies the laws of Euclidean geometry. If you follow the ball sliding on the surface of the triangle from the top point, you'll notice something strange. It looks like the left side of the triangle is extending away from the viewer, while the right side is closer to you. The Penrose triangle is the type of geometrical figure that can only exist as an optical illusion, because this is what it looks like if we dismember it. Not a triangle at all, huh? Take a look at this image. Which line do you think continues the black one? The red line or the blue line? As much as it looks like it's the blue line, it's actually the red line. This illusion was first talked about in the 1960s, and it's called the Poggendorff illusion. This is a classic example of how our brain perceives geometric shapes and depth. According to scientists, our brain tries to perceive two-dimensional pictures with three-dimensional properties. This is why it distorts the depth between lines in this image. Pretty intense, huh? Take a look at this staircase. Now let's flip the image upside down. It still looks like a staircase, but instead of going from right to left, it looks like it's going from left to right. Don't blink though. If you blink, the illusion will disappear and you will be left with the original image. This illusion is known as Schroeder's staircase, and it was invented by a German scientist, Heinrich Schroeder, back in 1858. It's really simple, but it talks about the same principle we saw in the previous illusion. If we dismember the staircase, you'll notice that the image is actually flat. What our brain perceives as a three-dimensional image is just a combination of shadow and light. This means that the 3D itself is already an optical illusion. This happens because our brain captures images and tries to fit them into what it already knows. It sees a shadow in a 2D image and it understands it as depth. Basically, it creates an unreal perspective of the object in front of our eyes. In this case, we call it a three-dimensional perspective. These circles seem to be moving pretty much everywhere they're told. Do you believe they are really moving? Or could we say that they're stationary? I know it's hard to believe, but they're not moving an inch. This illusion has baffled the internet, but this is what's going on behind the scenes. There's a very, very thin inner and outer edge to these circles, and these edges are a different color than the bulk of the circle. To create the illusion, animators make these outer edges move, but since there's a variation in color, our brain interprets it as the entire circle moving. That's why even if we block the arrows, we still have the impression that the circles are moving. Take a look at this image. It looks like the square in the middle is breathing, right? Like it's growing in size and then shrinking. What if I told you that it's just rotating, but not changing in size? Here's what's happening. This illusion is called motion binding. It happens when our brain tries to predict the movement of one of the elements in the image. Crazy stuff! Let's try another one. Stare at the cross in the middle of this image for 10 seconds, starting now. Did all of the colors from the image fade away and all you could see was a white page? Bizarrely, our brain just erases all the nuanced colors and leaves you with a white screen. First up, we have what looks like a gray bar moving up and down on an orange background. But if you stare at this little black dot, you may see the gray bar turn into a different color. What color did you see? Did you say blue? Yep, that was it. There's a graphic city with a dot in the middle of it. Stare at this dot for around 10 seconds, starting now. Wow, what just happened? Even after the picture turns black and white, our brain is still able to perceive the original colors. This is another example of an after image. After we've fed our brain with a fixed image of something, when we turn it black and white, our brain is still trying to guess the colors of it.
You'll have 10 seconds for each of the optical illusions. Your task will be to read the hidden number. You'll go from the easiest to the hardest riddles. Start off with an easy one for warm-up. Told you, it's 784. Moving on. I hope you were able to see the number 5346 here. Level up. How about this one? The correct answer is 725. And another one. Yes, it's 786. Now, only 5% of people can read the next three numbers. Want to give it a go? If your answer is 6012, it's correct. And here's another tricky one. It's 182. And if you saw it, you must have eagle vision. Told you it won't be easy, but try this one. The correct answer is 3708. Let's see how you handle some black and white illusions. And the first one is hiding the number 476. There you go. If that was too simple, how about this one? I hope you guessed it was 86347. And now, let's test your eyes with some hidden words. You still have 10 seconds for each of them. I'm sure you figured out it's the word never. Can you read what this picture says? I can't sleep. How sad. This one is hiding the name of some month. You have to think outside the box to read it. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Well, the secret was to split it in half. Then you can see it's July. How about this one? It's the word run hiding in the back. Another one for you. Hope you found the gold. Here comes a tricky one. It takes some brain power to see its brain. Another one in this category. It's only getting more complicated. If you read the word music between the lines, you must be a genius. Now let's see if you can decipher these secret messages. I give you 10 seconds for this one. Well, if someone says it's just a bunch of letters without meaning, you can easily prove them wrong. What do you see here? The power of imagination makes us infinite. Couldn't agree more. Here's another one. I hope you always desire to learn something useful. You deserve some dessert for all that mental activity. Here's just one cupcake among all those ice cream cones. Try to find it. There it is. Yum. Get a tomato to go. I can only see a bunch of apples, but maybe you'll be luckier here. Found it! There's a butterfly hiding somewhere among those flowers. Do you see it? Fantastic! It's right there. Can you find the one and only pineapple in this image? Great job! One of these colorful leaves is in fact a mushroom. Can you spot it? Well done! How about a safari to give your eyes another test? Do you see anyone hiding in these leaves? Yep, it's a chameleon. And those guys know how to blend with the surroundings. There must be a groundhog hiding somewhere in the rocks. Find it in 10 seconds. Wow, that was neat. One coyote won't do you much harm, but if it brings some friends, better make sure this area is coyote-free. Start looking for a different picnic spot. One of those guys is right here. Watch where you step. I hear there are snakes on the ground. Found one. Better be careful. I don't see anyone roaming in this territory. Let's see if you have sharper eyes. What a beautiful gazelle. Did you manage to find it? The next illusion was created back in 1860. It shows how your brain perceives depth and shapes. So, do you think the black line lines up with the blue one? If you answered yes, you're wrong. In fact, the black line stems from the red line. Now, take a look at these illusions and remember what you see first. It can tell a lot about your personality. If it looks like a mountain to you, you're a down-to-earth person. You're persistent, reliable, and like to plan things. Overcoming obstacles makes you feel really happy. You appreciate stability and don't like to take risks. If you saw the upside-down wolf first, you're a natural leader. You keep your emotions under control even in the most stressful situations. Others admire and respect you for that. Remember, it's okay to ask for help sometimes if you need it. How about this one? If lips caught your eye first, you're realistic and always take things the way they are. You don't look for hidden meaning in what happens to you and what others say to you. It helps you get along with people well. If you notice the trees first, you're an ambitious person and a perfectionist to the core. You're never happy with just okay, and will always strive to be number one and make yourself and others happy. In the case the first thing you saw was the roots, you're an extremely progressive person. You love trying all the new technology and styles. You never settle and always try to make your life better and more exciting. Here comes the next one. If it looks like a parrot to you, you're the soul of any party. You like to be the center of attention, wear something bright, talk loudly, and laugh your heart out. You have plenty of friends who love that about you. If you see a girl in a beautiful long dress, you must be the mysterious artsy type. You prefer to observe others being active and loud and get inspiration for your work. You notice little details and remember them to later put them on your canvas or paper. You have 10 seconds to decide what you see in this illusion here. If it's clearly an image of an elephant and a giraffe, you're a reliable and hardworking person. You feel responsible for yourself and your work and don't like to let others down. People appreciate you for that and share their secrets with you. If you saw some rabbits between the trees, you're not as simple as you might seem. You always think before you say or do something. You have a strategy for every life situation. It's important to you to be accepted and loved by others, so you do a lot to please them. New illusion, same task. If you see just two horses crossing a waterfall, you're an adventurous person. When someone offers trying something new or going to a new place, you're always up for it. You realize you might not like it in the end, but you'd rather try it and be sad than regret not going. In case you noticed several faces first, you always see the big picture and can find the right decision quickly. You know what you want and how to get there and never reconsider your own choices. These qualities will take you far in your career. Moving on. What a beautiful landscape, but is it hiding something? If all you see here is some sea and rocks, you're a calm and balanced person. Sometimes you're in a bad mood, but you always look on the bright side of life and move on. If you also noticed some animals drawn on the rocks, you have a great eye for detail. You always listen to both parties in a conflict before taking sides. You like doing research and drawing logical conclusions. Alright, what does this one say to you? In case you're positive it's a portrait of a young girl, you're an extrovert and can't survive a day without people. You're active on social media and enjoy going to social events where you can make even more friends. If you see some horses and birds, you're more of an introvert. You love being alone outside. You have some great friends, but you appreciate your personal space. Those who see the face and the horses at once, you've got the best of both worlds. You feel comfortable at a party with a few hundred new people around and alone reading a book. What can you say about this illusion? Those who see a face of a woman, you're realistic and pretty content with your life. You don't expect too much from others and are ready to stand your ground if you have to. If you see a saxophone player, you often prefer your imaginary world to the real one. In your dreams, you have turned your favorite hobby into a career. Try doing that in real life. What are your thoughts on this one? If it's clearly an older man to you, you've always been wiser and more reasonable than others your age. That's why people often ask you for advice, and you enjoy helping them out. If you see a young girl and an older man in the arch, you'll always be a child at heart. Your family means the world to you, and you always ask them for advice and protection.
Hey, how about we create your psychological portrait using optical illusions? You game? The rules are simple. Just remember the first thing you saw in the picture. Now, if you see a horse in this picture, you're a very valuable friend. You have excellent communication skills, and you're very confident and reliable. But if the first thing you saw here is the horse's head, it may mean you're critical of everything, and the opinion of others can't throw you off the path. The next illusion. Those who saw a crocodile here love a quiet life and don't like to open up to something new. But if you saw a boat, you're more creative than other people and pay attention to small details. Those who see a young woman here have an analytical mind and use their left brain more. If you see an old man, you're likely to be a very gentle and sensitive person who can be very empathetic to other people. You're more creative and you use the right side of your brain. The white pillars in the picture mean you like comfort and safety, but you should leave the comfort zone to gain more experience and achieve something new. But if the first thing you see is the silhouettes of two men, then you're the kind of person who doesn't sit in place and is ready to move constantly. Are these flowers or a woman's face? If it's flowers for you, then you appreciate the world you live in and just love nature. And if the first thing to draw your eye was a woman's face, then you have a great ability to highlight details from the environment that will help you to make the right decision. If an orange explosion is painted for you here, you have incredible leadership qualities. But if the first thing you see in this picture is black fingers, then you're a very compassionate, generous, and kind person. Hey, did you see two faces here? You're an extrovert. You're social, and you're constantly thinking about other people. But you also get influenced easily, so try to surround yourself only with good people. But if you see a candlestick here, you're the exact opposite. You think more about yourself than about other people, and you like to sit at home rather than having noisy parties with a bunch of people. Ooh, this one is scary. If you see a skull here, it means it's hard for you to make decisions and move forward. But you need to find the courage and overcome the circumstances. It's the only way for you to become stronger. And if you see a woman, you're probably feeling like a squeezed lemon, both emotionally and physically. Perhaps you have just ended a difficult period in your life. In any case, stay on the bright side. Now, if you see trees here, you must be an ambitious person who loves to bring everything to perfection. If you saw the roots at the first moment, it means you're a progressive person who strives for improvement. If the whole picture looked like dark lips to you, then you're a person who doesn't like to go deep into something and study too much. Hey, were those chocolate lips? Now, what do we have here? Is it a river and a cliff? Then you're an optimist who adapts easily to the changes in life. But if the first thing you see is a white cat, then you like stability, and you're in an emotional and mental balance. And you're a cat lover, of course. And if you see a face here, then you're a very creative person. You see a new opportunity in every detail of the world, and you're very curious. Whoa, is this an explosion? Then you're easily scared. You often feel fear of something new and unknown. You may even be in conflict with yourself. But if you see a passionate kiss in the smoke, then you value relationships and family the most in life. This is the highest priority for you. Ooh, cute bears. If you saw them first, then you can easily solve problems. You see a picture from far away, notice all the details, and can find the best solution. But if for you this picture is a mountain landscape, then you are a more intuitive person. You're guided by your sixth sense when decision-making. Are you a realist? If you saw a big blue cat here, then yes, you don't have much fantasy, but you see the world as it is, and it helps you make plans on how to conquer it. If a little mouse hits your eyes first, you can see the positive even in the worst-case scenario. For you, the glass is always half full. The next illusion. If you see a girl at the window, then be careful. This may suggest that you expect something unpleasant to happen, and you're also probably an impulsive person. If you see a skull here, then you're pessimistic. Your friends may call you a cynic, but you consider yourself a realist. Creativity against analytics? What do you see? If the red saxophonist is the first thing you see, then you are a person who likes to systematize and analyze information. You must be good at math and foreign languages. And if you see a portrait of a woman here, then you're an emotional and creative person. Is it a bird? Then you're a daydreamer, though a little absent-minded. But you strive to make the world a better place and invent ways to do so. And if there's a big face of a lion here, then you're a very brave person who's ready to face their insecurities and come out the winner of any fight. And here we have crocodiles? Then maybe you like to be in charge and manage your life. Orders from other people make you suffer because you're a natural leader. If you see a bird in the middle, you're ready to help others. You're reliable and friendly. Okay, if the first thing you see here is a car, then you're a person who appreciates their freedom. You like to break away on an unexpected journey, meet new people, and see new places. If you saw a person with binoculars, it means you have an analytical type of thinking, and you like to look at things from afar, often missing small details. And although you can absorb a lot of visual information, you should focus on the smaller things too. If you saw the letter A, then congratulations! You have a very sharp vision, just like an eagle. So hey, you can dive on a salmon. And you have well-developed intuition. Oh, this one is harder. If you're a girl and you've seen a man's face here, then either you're looking for a partner or your current partner is a priority in your life and you feel a strong emotional connection with him. But if you see a woman's face, then you feel comfortable and self-sufficient. Guys who saw a man's face are concerned about relationships with other men, whether they are colleagues, friends, or even other guys in the gym. And if you see a female face, you're looking for your love. But take your time, or else you may push too hard. This is a test for Super Sherlock. Of course, it's two squirrels, right? Well, that means you're pretty lazy and you don't get too much into details. Now, tilt your head a little to the left. Now you can see a woman's face. But if that's what you saw from the beginning, then you're an incredibly attentive person who can get along well with other people. And now we will determine your psychological age. If the first thing you saw was old people's faces, then you have already lived a long and colorful life. You definitely have something to remember. But if you see a young couple sitting next to each other, then you're young and all the fun is waiting for you. Now, be ready to give a quick answer. Remember what you see first. Let's go! If you notice a smiling face, you're an optimist. If it's the open book, you're smart and have a well-developed intuition. If it was roses, you're calm and kind. The tilted cross means that you're faithful. Balloons mean cheerfulness and good imagination. If the first thing you saw was a heart, then you're gentle and affectionate. The lion's face means that you're fearless. And if at first you noticed the tie, you're determined and diligent. Oh, and if you saw the ice cream cone, then it's time for an eye exam, because there wasn't one in the picture.
They say seeing is believing, but is it really so? Optical illusions have a mind-boggling way to trick our brains. They use a combination of colors, light, or particular patterns that can make us see things that aren't there. Today, we're taking our brains for a test drive to see how these illusions work. If you look at this image attentively, you'll notice a moving square that appears to be changing tones. What shades do you see? Dark, then light, then dark again? Wrong. The square doesn't change color at all. The creator of this illusion is a Japanese psychologist and artist, Akiyoshi Kitaoka. According to him, you can see your own brain changing its guess about the color of the square. Color is already an illusion created by our brains. It happens so that the color is created inside our visual systems. What our eyes perceive as blue is actually a wavelength that is reflected as that color. Neuroscientists say that about 50% of our brain is involved in the vision process. Visual signals are dispersed to more than 30 areas of our brain. Each area has a special function to process color, motion, depth, and form. All this information is combined, and voila! We can distinguish shape and color. Funnily enough, neuroscientists still don't understand the details of how all this happens, and neither do we, but we sure give it a try. Moving on. Let's take a look at this staircase. It looks pretty simple, right? Well now, let's flip the image upside down. It still looks like a staircase, but instead of going from right to left, it looks like it's going from left to right. But don't blink. If you blink, the illusion will disappear and you will be left with the original image. Whoa, I think my brain just got really tired. This illusion is known as Schroeder's staircase, and it was invented by a German scientist, Heinrich Schroeder, back in 1858. It's really simple, yet it reveals a fundamental mechanism of how our brain works. Let's understand why. If you sorta disassemble the staircase, you'll notice that the image is flat. What our brain perceives as a 3D image is just a combination of shadow and light. This means that the 3D itself is already an optical illusion. This happens because our brain captures images and tries to fit them into what it already knows. So it sees a shadow in a 2D image and it understands depth. Basically, it creates an unreal perspective of the object in front of our eyes. In this case, we call it a three-dimensional perspective. In 2020, Japanese mathematician Kokichi Sugihara took this illusion one step further. Let's take a look. At first glance, it looks just like a regular staircase. Again. But now, let's place an object at the top of the staircase and flip it at a 100-degree angle. I can't believe my eyes with this one. The object that appeared to be on top suddenly looks like it's at the bottom of the staircase. No wonder this work won Best Illusion of 2020. According to Sugihara, with this illusion, we are literally witnessing the way our brain tricks us into perceiving unreal things. At the heart of the illusion is a simple trick. The stairs aren't really stairs. They continue to be a flat 2D surface, making clever use of angles and shading to trick our brains. The 2D image was printed and glued into a basic 3D structure, but there is no real depth in the stairs. just the illusion of it. Got it? Look at this image for a moment and tell me how many bars you can count. This illusion has left the internet baffled. People have counted as many as 11 bars, but most count about 7 to 8 bars. According to the creator of this image, there are only 6 complete bars. Try counting from top to bottom and you'll notice that the upper bars are real. But by the time you get to the 6th bar, things start to get blurry and confusing. That's because the last 2 bars are incomplete, so when you try to count them, they appear to multiply and only leave you more confused. If you trace your pointer down the 7th and 8th bar, you'll be able to see that they are incomplete. They were only put there to confuse you. Can you tell if the dark blue lines are parallel to each other or whether they're inclined? They sure look crooked, but in reality, they're not. This classical optical illusion was first described over 100 years ago, but it wasn't until the 1970s that it got its current name. The cafe wall illusion. A guy named Steve Simpson noticed a similar effect on the wall of a cafe in Bristol, and here we are. Now, let's see how this works. First, let's blur the image a little bit. Oh, a little bit more. There you go. This way, you'll be able to see that the dark blue lines are parallel to each other. If you look closely, the little black and white bricks at the intersection of wide lines are what made this illusion possible. In addition to that, the curved elements inside the blue lines help to make the elusive effect even stronger. We'll understand why in a little bit. Up next, look at this black square, crisscrossed with perpendicular white lines. If you look attentively, you'll notice that the white dots situated at the intersection of the grid shift their color from white to gray and black. When you concentrate on a particular dot, you'll see that it's white, but as soon as your attention wanders, the dot turns gray. That's the Hermann grid illusion. Amazing, isn't it? We can take this illusion one step further by positioning white dots at the intersection of gray lines. All of them are placed on top of the black background. If you look at this image for long enough, you'll notice black dots starting to pop up at the intersections of the grid, creating a scintillating effect. Another name for this illusion is a simultaneous light contrast illusion. As you perceive the dots as white at one moment, and then, almost immediately, you see them as black. So, why do our senses let us down by making us see gray or black instead of white? This illusion demonstrates one of the most important principles of human perception. You don't always see things for what they really are. The retinal cells in our eyes act as light receptors. When only one cell receptor gets illuminated, it perceives more light than when its colleagues are also illuminated. This prevents the firing of nearby receptors. With the Hermann grid illusion, the white lines are arranged in such a way that there's more light around the intersections than along the lines themselves. Thus, the dots at the intersections are more inhibited, and you see darker spots. This next illusion is called the Pac-Man chaser. You'll see why. Stare at the central cross for 5 seconds. The image appears to be in motion, doesn't it? And you might also see a green disc appear in between the lilac spheres from time to time. Now, this image allows us to witness 2 illusions simultaneously. Even though the image appears to be in continuous motion, nothing here is moving. We promise. This phenomenon is known as the defy phenomenon. It happens when stationary objects are placed side by side and illuminated rapidly one after the other, creating an illusion of movement. Now look at the center of the image again. Can you see the green disc? This illusion is called an afterimage, and this happens when your brain tries to substitute an item with something else as the original item disappears. But why is it green, you might ask? That's because green is lilac's complementary color. If we were to change the color of the disc to blue, then the color of the gap changes to yellow, which is blue's complementary color. Neat, right?
Get ready for a new set of absolutely amazing optical illusions. Concentrate hard and don't let them trick you. Number 1. Look at these circles attentively, and you'll notice they're rotating. But that's just an illusion. The circles are completely still. Number 2. Which is bigger, the hat's height or its width? They're absolutely the same. Your eyes are playing tricks on you. Number 3. Which tower is leaning more? Ha! Look at that, they're the same. Even though one tower seems to be lopsided when placed next to a copy of itself, this is called the leaning tower illusion. Number 4. How many colors do you see in this image? However many you might see, in reality, there are only 3. Number 5. The patterns in this picture seem to be moving. But once you focus on one of the ovals, the whole image becomes still. Number 6. What do you see in this picture? A moving star? Well, the star part is correct, but in reality, it's a static image. Once again, if you concentrate on any of its parts, the picture will stop moving. Number 7. It seems as if there are 3 cylinders in this image, and they're all rotating. But you know what to do. Stare at the center of the picture and all the movement will stop. Number 8. Which pencil is longer? They are of the same length. Number 9. Can you find 3 animals in this picture? Three bunnies are hiding in the tree branches. Number 10. Look at this rotating thingy. There's no doubt it's a 3D image, but in reality, it's just a set of rotating figures that creates such a 3-dimensional effect. Number 11. Look at the screen and move your head forward and backward while focusing on the center of the image. When you come closer, the lines will seem to rotate counterclockwise. As soon as you start to move away from the image, the lines will rotate clockwise. Number 12. There is something hidden in this grid. Can you figure out what it is? If you can't spot it, try to shake your head, move further from the screen, or screw up your eyes. And just in case it hasn't helped either, let me make the grid less bright. Here we go. A lovely kitty. Number 14. Can you figure out which word is hidden here? That's bedside. Number 15. Look at this image and say which string is tied to the banana. I was almost sure it was string number 2, but in fact, that's the third one. Number 16. Which word is brighter? If you remove the grid, it'll become obvious that both words are of the same color. Number 17. Each horizontal band seems to be lighter in the middle and darker near the boundaries. But in reality, all of them are of a uniform shade. Number 18. Which line is longer, A or B? They're both of the same length. This illusion is created because your mind perceives this image in 3D space. That's why your brain tells you that the line which is closer to you must be shorter than the more distant one. Number 19. Are the woman's eyes of the same color? In fact, they are. You can make sure of it by comparing the color of her eyes and the hair accessory. Number 20. At first sight, it's just a red fan rotating over a bright green background. But try to concentrate on the black dot in the middle. You'll notice that the green under the fan is brighter than that of the surrounding ring, and the fan blades are actually redder than the central disc. Number 21. These two discs are pulsating, changing between dark and light. But are they doing it at the same time? Keep watching, and you'll see that it depends on the background. When it's light, the discs pulsate in sync. But when one part of the background is light and the other is dark, the discs seem to pulse not simultaneously. Number 22. Which word is hidden in this image? That's the word quality. Number 23. Which creature has a longer mouth, yellow or green? Their mouths are of the same length. Number 24. How about this picture? Which word does it hide? High five if you spotted the word quite. Number 25. That's how a set of simple straight lines can trick your brain. The square made up of vertical lines looks wider and shorter than the one formed of horizontal lines. Number 26. Look at this pyramid made of elongated diamonds. Are these diamonds darker at the top or at the bottom of the pyramid? All diamonds are identical, even though it surely doesn't look like that. But once we start moving around them, this way, and comparing them with one another, it becomes obvious. Number 27. Find 3 animals hidden in this image. Right you are. There are 3 foxes over there in the tree. Number 28. Look at the wheel moving behind the red picket fence. Its spokes seem to be bent at the bottom. There's nothing wrong with the wheel, and the spokes are perfectly straight. Want to make sure? Look, the fence is becoming transparent. Here you go. Number 29. Now, this wheel seems to be rotating clockwise, and the spokes are moving counterclockwise. But if you look at one of the spokes attentively, you'll notice it's actually staying in one place. Or rather, it makes a tiny shift forward and then returns to its place. Number 30. Which word is hidden in this image? It's feather. Number 31. What do you see in this picture? There's no definite answer here. Some people notice footprints, others 5 bowling pins. Number 32. How about this picture? Are those 3 pairs of alternating grooves and ridges? Or maybe you see 3 shiny oval tubes. The main trick is that the right side of the image looks like a folded surface and the left resembles the tubes. Number 33. Which word do you see here? It's the word change. Number 34. Look at the blue lines. They seem to be moving in pairs. And how about now? They suddenly form an outline of a diamond. Number 35. These wooden railroad tracks seem to be different in size. The lower one looks larger than the one at the top, but if we switch them, it becomes obvious that they're identical in size. Number 36. Do these horizontal lines seem parallel to you? And what if I tell you they are, and what you see is just an illusion? Number 37. Try to figure out which line is longer here. If your answer is, "Come on, I know they're of the same length," you're absolutely right. Number 38. Can you see anything unusual in this picture? There's a Dalmatian hiding here. Number 39. There seems to be a bulge in the middle of this checkerboard. But in reality, this checkerboard is regular, and each of its checks is perfectly square. You'll see it once we remove the tiny black and white ticks. Number 40. The blue horizontal stripes in this picture can't be parallel, right? But if we remove all the additional elements, it'll become apparent that the lines are not oblique.
Wow, you'll have 5 seconds for each of the illusions. Get ready for your mind to be bent. Can you tell which of the 2 yellow lines is longer? Seems obvious to me. Oh wow, I was wrong. None of them is longer. They are exactly the same length. This is a Ponzo illusion, not a Ponzi scheme. Your brain judges an object's size based on its background. Here, your brain decides the upper line that's further away has to be longer to catch up with the line that's closer. Here's another one for you. Do you think these lines are parallel to each other? Yep, they perfectly are. Again, your brain judges them based on their surroundings. All those short intersecting lines make you believe the longer lines are messed up. What about the red lines in this image? Are they straight or curved? This is the herring illusion. The seemingly curved lines are perfectly straight and parallel to each other. The background makes you think otherwise. How many colors can you see here? Did you get red, purple, and green? In that case, you're all wrong. If you zoom in on this illustration, you can see all the spheres are of the same color. The stripes in the foreground make you believe the spheres are of different colors too. If you remove that foreground from the image, you'll see all the spheres are beige. Welcome to Ames' room. Nothing is impossible here. Which of these 2 people do you think is larger? An Ames room only seems to be a normal rectangular construction. It has slanted walls and an inclining ceiling and floor. The right corner is closer to you than the left corner. Your brain is used to rectangular rooms, so it corrects the image for you. The room seems normal, and the people inside seem weird. How many prongs do you think this trident has? The correct number is 3. Nah, just kidding. That would be too obvious. The empty space between the prisms forms the central prong. Take a closer look at the top of the prongs. There are just 2 openings. Can you tell what animal is hiding here? The secret here is to shake your head back and forth, or you can zoom out on the image. When you see the tiny version of it, it's obvious there's a cat hiding behind all those lines. Now, focus on one point of this image for at least 15 seconds. Don't think of anything else, just keep looking. Can you see the image disappearing? It happens because the neurons in your brain filter information. They decide what's essential and what's useless. When you focus on one point, your brain receives no new information. Your peripheral vision takes new data from the surrounding white background and adapts the graphic to it. Here's the next illusion for you. Can you tell if the circles are moving or standing still? This image isn't animated. It's an example of a peripheral drift illusion that makes you see still images as moving ones. When you stare at one part of the image without blinking, that part stops moving. Can you count all the black dots in this image? Three, 4, 6? There are 12 of them, but you can't see them all at once. That's because your peripheral vision fails you at tasks like this. What do you see in this image? If you're sure there are some lines and a light blue circle in the middle, you're wrong. The background is entirely white. You see the non-existent light blue circle because your brain adds color into the bare negative spaces. What about this one? What colors are these funky shapes? Just like in the previous illusion, they're all empty and white. That's a watercolor illusion. Your brain fills in the shape that has a bright line and a darker line at its borders with a brighter color. Now, can you tell if this image is 3D? It's perfectly flat. The white shade in the middle creates the bulge effect. If you move closer, you'll notice it spread its luminance. The task here is simple. Follow this spiral from the beginning to the end. Gotcha! You can't do it, because this spiral isn't a spiral. It's made up of concentric circles. Your brain fills in the gaps for you because it's confused by this crazy background. Can you tell which rectangles are darker? Believe it or not, the rectangles under columns A and B are the exact same color. The surrounding black and white bars make you believe column A is way darker. Can you find the right shadow for this fun couple? No, it's this one. Only one of the locks is unlocked. Can you spot it in 5 seconds? Good job! This drawing is missing one piece. Pick the right one out of the 3 possible options. Well done! There's a little mouse hiding somewhere between the mushrooms. Your task is to find it. There it is, cute little thing. One of these jellyfish can't swim because it's an air balloon. Can you see it? Well, it does look a lot like a jellyfish. What's that chirping? All birds but one are having a chat. One of them doesn't speak their language. It's a snail right here. I'd love to have some coffee. Please help me find it. Yay, it was hiding here all the time. All penguins look alike, but one is more special than the others. Can you spot it? This little guy right here has slightly different eyes. Let's take it one level up. Can you find the odd one out here? You could be a detective with your sharp eyes. One of these plants is slightly different from the others. You have 5 seconds to find it. Here it is. All these moons must produce a lot of light. Pick the odd one out. I knew it. How about a little safari? The zebra on the right is different from its pal on the left in 5 ways. Can you name them all? I only found 3 differences. Oh, now I see. How about these lions? Again, there are 5 not-so-obvious differences between them. Did you get them all? What about these antelopes? Oh, I didn't see the red nose. What a beautiful and peaceful landscape. It's different from the one on the left in 5 ways. Name them all. Well done! Here are 2 scenes from a busy city life for you. The task remains the same. I only managed to find 3 differences here. Let's go see some waterfalls. Something is wrong with the second image. I got it. What about you? The fall is my favorite season. Can you notice 5 ways these pictures don't match? Fantastic! It's beach time, but you can't relax until you find 5 differences here. Well, enjoy your well-deserved rest. All right, enough. Moving on. What you see in the next images can tell a lot about your personality. Let's start with this one. If it's a woman reading a book to you, you're a practical and goal-oriented person. You work a lot. You're great at planning and know how to keep your emotions under control. Those who notice Salvador Dali's face, first of all, are artists at heart. Even if your job doesn't have to do with creativity, you find your own ways to express yourself through drawing, writing, or music. If you noticed an armchair first, you never look for easy and obvious solutions in your life. You always surprise everyone else with your unique vision of the world. How about this one? What do you see here? If they're women with umbrellas to you, you've plenty of friends because you're open-minded and mix with new people easily. You enjoy spending time surrounded by others and share everything with them. If it's a sad man's face to you, you're wise beyond your years. Sometimes you need to stop and think about life. At these moments, you prefer to be alone. You don't have that many friends, but you're loyal and always ready to help them. All right, what can you say about this image? If it's a man sitting down by the water to you, you must be smart and careful with what you do and what you say. You always think twice before making an important decision and rarely regret anything you've done. If you see a face here, you're more emotional than rational. You'll always pick a new and unknown path and never think for too long when you have to make a decision. It's easy to make you cry or smile, but you get over things quickly as well. Here's another illusion for you. If it looks like a couple of playful squirrels to you, you must be a natural explorer. You don't feel happy staying in one place and are always the first to try new things and visit new places. You're active, charismatic, and fun to be around. If you clearly see a woman's face here, you prefer to stick to the plan and don't like surprises. You're a natural leader and great at delegating tasks to others. They respect you and follow your lead. What about this one? If it looks like a lifeless forested area to you, you're most likely better at sciences than at arts. You can fix any gadget or at least carefully follow the instructions to one of those. Your mind is a well-organized chamber. If you instantly saw animals here, you must be into arts and creativity. You don't even know manuals exist. You like to live in the moment and always listen to your heart.
Hey there! Are you ready to get your mind blown by some absolutely stunning optical illusions? Or do you want to check how easily your mind can get tricked? Then watch our 11 optical illusions and let me know which impressed you the most. So here's the first one. Look at it attentively. What do you see here? Most people are sure they're looking at a 3D sphere on a patterned monochrome background. Or maybe you even feel that the ball is suspended in the air in front of some flat surface. In reality, this is a 2D image. The illusion occurs because of how the elements of the pattern are placed. Another 3D image, which is actually totally flat. I don't know about you, but it seems to me that I'm looking at sand dunes colored in a dazzle of zebras. But no, this effect occurs thanks to the different thickness and position of the stripes. Now, look at this picture. Don't take your eyes off of it even for a moment. See? The circles are moving.
It's a popular motion illusion. One of the coolest things about it is that it grinds to a halt if you look at only one part of the image. Try it out. And if you start looking around, it begins to move again. Is it magic? These circles might look simple and unassuming at first, but try moving your head back and forth while keeping your focus on the dot in the center of the image. Do you see that the circles formed by the rhombi start to rotate? When you're tilting your head towards the screen, they move in one direction. When you get farther from the image, they move in the opposite direction. And isn't that cool? How about something even more baffling? Look at this image. This grating is moving vertically, right? Not really. It's moving diagonally. This illusion occurs when a diagonally striped pole rotates horizontally around its vertical axis. To the viewer, it appears as though the stripes are moving downward rather than around the pole. Why so? Because you see the pole through a vertical window, which provides you with very little information about what's actually happening to it. Look at this beauty! Doesn't this kinetic illusion make you feel as if the image is both streaming, shimmering, and moving all at the same time? But the picture is actually a bunch of lines of the same color coming from the common center. The next illusion you're going to see is beautiful. The longer you look at the picture, the less static it seems. The image appears to be rotating, even though it's actually not moving, not even a bit. This illusion occurs as a result of your eyes reacting to the size variations of the circles and interacting color contrasts. Wow, isn't this image bright and pretty? But don't stare at it for too long. It can give you a slight headache and make your eyes hurt. Anyway, now that I've warned you, doesn't it seem to you that all these rings are rotating in opposite directions? I know this effect is extremely strong, but I promise it's not an animated GIF. It's a perfectly still image, but the design and colors make it look as if the rings are moving. Hey, look at this 3D purple landscape. Isn't it charming? The only problem is that, I bet you've already guessed, this is not a 3D image. It's the unusual bright pattern that creates this illusion. Here's another 3D illusion. This time, it's a checkerboard that seems to be bulging. Look at it attentively. The squares are perfectly straight. Their borderlines are parallel and perpendicular, but your brain insists this image is domed. The explanation is connected with the dots. They don't actually touch the borders of the squares. There's always a narrow margin, but your brain interprets those margins like lines, which messes up with your perception. And instead of the right angles, some of them seem acute while others appear obtuse. In this image, all of the edges are either vertical, horizontal, or at a 45-degree angle. But does it seem this way to you? I bet your answer is no. And there's one more thing you can do with this image to make it even cooler. Pause this video so that the image is static and move your scroll bar up and down. It'll appear that the illusion also has some element of motion to it. Awesome! Now, how about we try to figure out what makes it possible for optical illusions to trick our mind? I mean, you know 100% that what your eyes are telling your brain is wrong, but you just can't make yourself stop seeing it. Scientists are sure that sometimes our brain may unconsciously bend our perception of the world to meet our expectations. It fills in the gaps using your past experiences. In other words, it's not your eyes that play tricks on you. It's the way your brain interprets the image sent by the eyes. As an expert said, an optical illusion is a mismatch between the visual impression of the actual properties of the object. Anyway, my favorite illusion is the one with bright rotating circles. What about you? Share your opinion in the comments.
How many shades of gray can you count in this bar? The correct answer is 11. Nah, just kidding. The bar in the middle is one constant color. The background makes you see more than one shade of gray here. You can see it if you cover the spaces above and below the bar. Can you tell which of the surfaces is darker? Is it A or B? Surface A only seems obviously darker. In reality, they are exactly the same color. Cover the middle of the drawing with your hand to check it. Scientists still can't explain this illusion. One theory says this might be because of how your brain interprets the signals from the photoreceptors in your eyes. The most active cells reduce the activity in neighboring ones, and this creates a contrast that's not in fact real. Now, find the darkest square in this picture. Whichever square you chose, you can't be right. They're all the same color, just set against different backgrounds. Moving on. Do you pick white or black pieces? I'll let you choose. Well, you can't pick black or white here because the pieces are all the same color. The background and the way you perceive light explains this illusion. How many colors do you see here? I clearly see 4. It's actually 2. Red and green, one shade of each. You get the illusion there are different colors here because some of them are surrounded by white and some by green boxes. By the way, white isn't a color in scientific terms. It's the presence of all colors. That's why we don't count it as one. Here's another one for you. Which side is darker? Nope, it's not the right side. It's one shade of red that seems darker on the right because of the black background. Oh no, this table is tilting to the right and about to turn over. Or is it? No worries, it's perfectly stable. The slanted lines create this tilting effect. Both rectangles are parallel. You can check it with a ruler. How many faults do you see in this square? The correct answer is 0. This square by Walter Ehrenstein is perfect. It seems curved because it's placed inside a pattern of concentric circles. Would you prefer a rectangular or square table? No matter which one you chose, just take any. They're of exactly the same shape and size. Here's a classic Ponzo illusion. Which of the green lines is longer? It's the one in the foreground. Just kidding, they're the same length. This illusion works because your brain interprets the image with perspective, and it's just a simple 2D image. How about a ride? Do you think this Ferris wheel is moving clockwise or counterclockwise? Sorry guys, the ride is closed today. Any movement you see here is just an illusion. Here's an easy one for you. Try to quickly say the color of these words. Hey, it takes forever to focus on the colors without reading them. The right half of your brain is trying to name the colors, and the left half is trying to make you say the words. This is known as the Stroop effect, and it's used as a test for jobs where concentration is a must. Can you count all the gray dots at the intersections in this grid?
The correct answer is 0. This is a Hermann grid illusion. Your brain makes you think they are gray dots at the intersections because of the dark surroundings. If you look closer, all the dots are gone. Another good old classic, Necker cube. This was discovered in the 19th century. Do you think the blue wall is in the block or on the block? Is it the back wall or the side wall? There's no correct answer, so keep guessing. Is this just a set of some geometrical shapes, or does it have a secret message? Eureka! That's the correct answer. Are you up for a helicopter ride? Pick the one with a longer line on top. It's impossible. They're equal in length, and the surroundings make you believe otherwise. Time for some magic. You can turn this negative photo into a full-color image with the power of your brain. Stare at the dots at the center of the girl's face for about 30 seconds. Now, quickly turn your eyes to the center X of the white image on the right of the woman's face. Blink several times. Do you see the image of a girl in full color? If not, try staring at the negative image a bit longer, or sit closer or further from your computer monitor. This illusion works when your rods and cones get overstimulated. The cells viewing the darkest part of the image are least affected by this. When you look away, they react the strongest, and you can see the reverse of the original image. Some optical illusions with a double meaning can tell a lot about your personality. What do you see here? If it's a profile of a man to you, you're pretty realistic and take things for what they are. You trust others and easily rely on them at work and in your personal life. You mix with new people easily. If you notice the word liar, you always look for a hidden subtext in everything. It's not easy for you to trust others. Even when things are going just fine, you're always looking for some surprises coming your way. How many pandas do you see in this image? If it's just 2, you're an ambitious person focused on your goals. When you have a plan, nothing can take you off your course. You're direct and always say what you really think. If you saw 5 pandas or more, you're a really creative person. You always see the little things others might not notice. You get inspiration when you least expect it, even from basic everyday events. What does this one look like to you? If you see a huge eye on the ground, you're a settled person who's pretty content with their life. You have your home, job, and favorite places, and wouldn't give up this comfort for some unknown path. If you see a landscape with some deep green abyss or a volcano crater, you long for adventures. You can't wait to explore the world, and your biggest fear is settling down and not getting the chance to travel. Time for the next illusion. Those who see a face of a young girl here are pretty emotional and sentimental people. You miss someone or something that made you really happy and still can't let go. Try to accept the best is yet to come into your life. Those who see a young man staring at a landscape here are at the crossroads of their lives. You realize you need some changes to be happier, but you don't know what to start with. All roads are open to you. Just take that first step. Here's a really tricky one. If it looks like a landscape with a horseman to you, you're more extroverted than introverted. You enjoy your alone times, but mostly need the company of others to share with. You're fun, easygoing, and a great team player. If you see a wolf here, you must be more introverted than extroverted. You feel comfortable in your own company and aren't afraid to listen to yourself. You aren't afraid of responsibility and prefer to get all the credits for what you've done.
This fresh set of optical illusions will definitely challenge your visual perception. If your brain isn't happy when you look at things that spin and flash,
Be careful and get somebody to watch this astonishing illusionary art with you. Ready? Go full screen and let's get started. Take a look at this pair of circles. It's not an illusion, they're identical and they do rotate. But they don't actually move across the screen. The arrows confuse your brain, so it seems that the circles are shrinking and even moving back and forth. If you manage to focus your gaze so that they stop moving, you're a wizard. What about this shining star? Is it static or dynamic? Although the star seems to be pulsing, its size doesn't change at all, but its popping color creates an illusion of movement. Let's move on to our next one. Check this out. Can you spot any movement? This picture is static, but if you take your time to look at these flowers carefully, your brain will definitely convince you that they're moving. What about this picture? The direction of this pattern makes the brain think that the circle is rotating to the left, but it's a lie. The same goes for this cute pattern. Can you see it spinning around? What about this picture? Can you spot any movement? Well, in this case, it's not surprising because this image is animated. An optical illusion is not always an optical illusion, so be careful. Let's take a look at the next one. This star seems to be dancing because its asymmetrical shape confuses your brain's expectations. Maybe it's time to ask ourselves, what else is my brain lying to me about right now? What can you say about this beautiful pattern? Is it just a basic optical illusion or an animated video? That's right, it's an animation. Here's our next one. If you focus all your attention on the middle of this picture, it will soon begin to move. But in fact, it stays the same. Don't let your brain play tricks on you. Your perception of this image may change if you blink a bunch of times and shake your head. Moving on, take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static? Yes, it truly is. Some optical illusions work by fooling around with contrasts in our field of vision. These two circles consist of small rotating striped circles. They appear to change the direction of rotating thanks to how our brains deal with information immediately within our focus. It's different from the way it processes peripheral information. You can see it when you focus on one circle and then on another. Are you dizzy yet? Let's move on to the next one. Zigzag is a great tool to create a bunch of optical illusions that can make you feel like you're flying. But this particular zigzag pattern is animated. Is it? Nope, it's a static picture. Be careful with zigzags. The next optical illusion will make you see with your eyes closed. All you have to do is stare at this Marilyn Monroe's nose at the center of this portrait. Continue staring at the same spot for at least 7 seconds, and try not to blink. Ready? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take a look at your ceiling and blink a bunch of times. Close your eyes. Can you still see the portrait? Don't worry, it'll disappear in a few seconds. This optical illusion is called an after image. It appears after you've stared at an image for some time. Usually, it requires around 30 seconds. Then you close your eyes or look at a white piece of paper afterwards. Overstimulation makes the rods and cones in your eyes lose sensitivity. That's why for a short period afterward, you interpret colors as their paired primary color. Now, let's take a look at this tricky pattern. Is this image static or dynamic? It's not an optical illusion. This pattern is animated. If you managed to guess, great job! Now, let's take a look at this one. Do these spheres move across the screen? Nope, they don't. If you were careful enough, you noticed the top moving when you squinted and concentrated on the spheres. This optical illusion is static. But if you take your time and focus on the center of the screen, it will begin to rotate. Let's move on to our next one. This optical illusion will make you feel like a magician and level up your concentration skills. At this point, you probably see that the static circles begin to move, pop, and spin slightly. But which way? There's no right answer here. The largest circle probably spins to the left. But if you switch your focus to the center of the image, the same circle will begin to spin to the right. The movement will change depending on which layer of this image you're currently focusing on. Arrows inside these colorful circles may confuse your vision. Try not to look at them, and you'll notice that the circles inside this illusion aren't changing their shape or moving at all. It's pretty clear that this crazy watermelon isn't spinning, isn't it? Nope. If you screw up with your eyes, you can verify this by focusing your gaze on the sphere. See? It doesn't move anymore. This figure can begin to move like a snake, and the black points will begin to blink white. But don't let your brain fool you. This image is still the same. Are you dizzy yet? Let's experiment with disappearing dots. Focus on the central green dot. Try not to blink for a while. You will see one or more of the yellow dots disappearing and then reappearing randomly. Here's another illusion with disappearing dots. Thousands of people worldwide complained that this simple optical illusion had made them question reality. There are 12 black dots at the intersections of this image, but your brain won't let you see them all at once. Well, how many dots did you count? There are 12 black dots in this image, and it's a fact. But most people can't see all 12 dots at once. When you're focusing on that black dot in the center of your field of view, your visual system is automatically filling in what's going on around it. And this regular pattern of gray lines on a white background makes your brain suggest that there are no black dots at all. That's why you miss the intermittent black dots, or they disappear and reappear as your eye jitters around. This cute animation is also very tricky. It pictures a moon and 6 stars surrounding it. There's also a dotted circular layer moving in the background. Try not to move your head at all. If you manage to focus your eyes on the moon and stay perfectly still, you'll soon notice that the stars begin to disappear. How many of them did you make disappear? There's no one correct answer here. The number of disappeared stars depends on your perception. This tricky wheel can make your brain think that it rotates, but it's a lie. You may notice that the wheel changes the direction when you tilt your head to the right or to the left. This trick will make your hands melt like water. Don't worry, it's not forever. Keep staring at the center of the screen for 30 seconds. Try not to blink. Now, take a look at your hands. Are they melting? You can also look at some text and notice that your vision is wavy. Take a look at this tricky optical illusion. What can you say about this wheel? Is it static or dynamic? It's static. Your brain plays tricks on you. Now let's give your eyes a little break by changing the task. Can you spot an odd monkey out? Here it is. Can you find a different monster out? This guy in the right corner doesn't look as happy as the others. There are many zeros in here. Can you also see another hidden number? Here it is. Does this pattern consist of red apples only? Nope. Here's one tomato. Can you find two similar emojis among this variety? Here they are. What about this set of emojis? Can you see two identical emojis? Here they are. Take a look at these emojis. Are they all different? Nope. These two emojis are similar. How many emojis can you find among this variety? There are 3. What about this collection? Can you spot any identical emojis here? This task is tricky. All these emojis are different. If you manage to crack our trick, good job! Take a look at this set. Can you find a pair of identical emojis? Nope, it's impossible, because these two are similar. Does this cat crowd have any odd details? This guy over here is not a cat, it's a rabbit. Can you find a 4-leaf clover in here? Here it is. Lucky you.
You'll have 5 seconds for each. Let's go! What comes to your mind when you look at this picture? If you noticed one big tiger first, you're pretty happy with your life right now and wake up with a smile. You like your job and have some great friends and a loving family. You don't want to change anything and just enjoy every day. In case you spotted a landscape with a tree and a little tiger first, you've had some problems in the past that you've managed to solve. But now you're cautious about everything and can't let yourself run around carefree. How about this one? If you saw a beautiful golden landscape with some waterfalls, you probably feel a bit bored at the moment. Everything seems to be fine, but you're missing some bright emotions and adventures. Start with the little things, cook a new meal, or buy some clothes you'd never wear before. If you saw a young girl here first, looks like you've been a bit overwhelmed lately. You're trying to be one step ahead of everyone else at work with your hobbies and personal life. It's okay to give yourself a break and just live your life at your own pace sometimes. In case the animals hiding in the landscape have caught your eye, you're pretty happy with everything in your life, but your mind often wanders somewhere else. You run different scenarios in your head of you living a different life that could be even better. Try doing one of the things you've been dreaming about for so long. Moving on, what does this one look like to you? If it's definitely a guitar, you're someone who likes to have a good laugh. Your positive energy spreads onto others easily. That's why you're the heart of any party. You mix with new people well and have like a billion friends. If you're positive it's a landscape with trees reflected in the water, you feel cautious about letting new people too close to you. You might seem reserved at first, but when you're ready to accept those new people into your life, you build strong bonds and will never let them down. How about this one? Those who see a huge yellow-eyed fish here respect the rules and feel uncomfortable breaking any of them. You prefer to stay out of trouble, so you'd never try anything unconventional. You follow the majority, and if something goes wrong, you're relieved to share the fault with everyone else. If you're one of those people who see a huge ship in this image, you never follow the crowd, even if it's going the right way. You're a rebel at heart, and you believe rules are meant to be broken. You like to take a chance and often win. Next, is this one all plain to you, or do you see the double meaning? Those who see a bunch of sheep and a wolf here adapt to changes in life easily. You accept the fact that nothing lasts forever and always look on the bright side to find the positive in everything. This helps you move on and save your energy for more important things than worries. Those who see a big wolf and a little wolf find it uneasy letting go of people, places, and situations. You don't like change, it confuses you. Even if things aren't perfect, you'd rather leave them the way they are because you're used to them. Sometimes you just have to let things go their own way. It'll save you a lot of nerves. How about this one? If you see a polar bear here, you're an emotionally stable person. You know you can't plan everything in life, so you accepted surprises and find joy in them. You know you won't make fun memories if you stay on a perfectly smooth road. If you clearly see a hand in this image, you love to plan everything in your life. You can't stand it when something doesn't go as you expected it to. You always think of all the possible outcomes before taking even the smallest decision, like what to buy for dinner. Try being more spontaneous. You might like it. Now, taking it one level up, can you see the hidden meaning here? If this one looks like a lake and some swans to you, you're a realist who's mostly in a good mood. You don't expect too much from anything or anyone. You're kind and forgiving and can explain and accept any behavior. It helps you protect yourself from disappointments. If you saw a band playing in the mountains, you're more comfortable in the world of your own dreams than in reality. You have your vision of how things should work out, and you feel sad when other people aren't as brave, nice, and caring as you expect them to. Try taking it easier on them. How about this one? If the first thing you saw here was a vase, you don't like to stay in the spotlight. You're a talented and creative person, but you're a bit shy and don't like it when other people are staring at you. That's why you prefer to express yourself through writing, drawing, or similar arts that don't take you directly on stage. If you clearly saw two profiles in this one, you love attention so much you make a little show out of everything. You can make a loud joke or start singing as you go grocery shopping. You have plenty of energy, and the only way to let it all out is to get on stage and get all the eyes looking at you. This one looks pretty abstract. What do you think about it? Those who are sure it's an old man are really good at saving money. You plan your budget and never buy things you didn't plan to. You know your priorities well, and you don't feel like you're depriving yourself of anything. Saving makes you happy. Those who spotted a horse in this image are trying to stick to a budget, but it doesn't always work out. You could be saving for a new car for a couple of months and then spend it all on the shoes of your dreams. What really matters is that it makes you happy, so don't worry too much about it. Moving on, what can you say about this drawing? If you saw an old man's profile here first, you believe that you can achieve anything in life if you give it your all. You're patient and stubborn in a good way. You set goals and fulfill them one by one on the way to your dream. You prefer to call it plans, not dreams. If you saw a man on a horse, a river, and a figure on the ground, you believe in destiny. You think lots of things are just meant to be. You aren't lazy or anything, but you're sure sometimes success is just a matter of luck. When you have an uneasy choice to make, you prefer to wait it out and let the problem solve itself. Next, please. This one feels so cold. What do you see here? If it looks like a snowy mountain to you, comfort is your priority. Your home means the world to you, and you don't like to move from place to place. You can't focus on anything or get details done in a mess. You're ready to spend money and effort on nice little details. In case you saw a huge face first, and no, it's not me, you prefer to invest in memories and emotions. You'd love to sleep under the stars as long as it takes you to a new place with people you love. You don't buy too many things because they make moving problematic. All you really need fits in one backpack, and you're happy it's so. What comes to your mind when you look at this image? If it's definitely a zebra to you, you enjoy arranging surprises for your loved ones. You prefer giving to receiving, and you'd go to the end of the world to make your family and friends happy. Their happiness is the best feedback to you. If you see some trees here, looks like you prefer getting gifts to giving them to others. You never show it even if you aren't 100% happy with the gift, and it makes people feel like they know you so well and they made your day. So, you're doing a good thing your way. Look at the dot in the center for 10 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Now quickly look at the ceiling and blink a few times. The colored squares have just moved there. What a beautiful pattern of rectangles. But just give it a second look and you'll see they are in fact circles floating against the striped background. Stare at the central dot for 10 seconds and see what happens. Wow! The colored circles switch places. In fact, they're both gray now, and your brain makes you see colors that aren't really there. This illusion can make your phone grow. Stare at it. Magic is happening. Keep staring. Now, quickly look at the back of your phone. The logo is moving. How many colors do you see in this image? If you answered 3, you're a bit wrong. There are just 2 colors here, black and white. The grid creates the illusion of gray as they intersect. What about this one? There are just 3 colors here, red, blue, and yellow. The inner squares only seem different because of the grids and backgrounds. This grid is broken, but you can fix it right now. Stare at the center of the grid for 15 seconds and see what happens. Told ya! It all looks in order now. This happens because your brain prefers to see regular patterns. It's spread from the center to the edges of the grid. This image is perfectly static. Just stare at one part of it. Yep, it isn't moving anymore. This is one example of peripheral drift illusions. Your brain lags a bit when it's processing areas with different light intensity and makes you think the image is animated. Can you tell if this one is moving or static? I give you 10 seconds to figure it out. Static again. Contrasting colors create the illusion of motion. How many animals do you see here? There are 8 of them hiding between the lines. If you saw 5 or more, you have the eye of an eagle. Can you tell which of these 2 yellow lines is longer? It seems obvious the answer is the higher line. In fact, they're absolutely the same length. Your brain gets distracted by other elements in the image, like background lines, and you see the image in a distorted way. What about these 2 lines? Which one is longer? Again, they're the same length. The way circles are set makes the upper line seem longer to you. How many colors are mentioned here? If you got 7, great job! Nothing can distract you. Can you find the mistake here? The number sequence is alright, but you don't need an extra "the." Let's go under the C. Find 3 differences between these images in 10 seconds. Good job! Same task here. Did you spot them all? These images are different in 3 details. Can you name them? Fantastic! Oh, this looks delicious. Again, there are 3 differences between the images. Hope you found them all. These 2 images are different in 5 details. Try to name them in 10 seconds. Well done! Can you find 5 differences between these 2? Well, nothing can hide from you. Help these kittens find 8 hidden objects. Meow, thank you. This dog is made of many little things. Can you spot 13 of them? Amazing! The fall is a busy time for farmers. Make their life easier and find 20 hidden objects they need. Wow, you could be a detective! Did you find 20 objects in this image? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Great job! This time, you only have to find 12 hidden things, but it's trickier because of all those dots. You did it! Moving on. What you see in these optical illusions can tell a lot about your personality. What is this one to you? Those who clearly see the mountains covered with snow mostly have their feet on the ground. You take things the way they are, like to plan everything, and move ahead step by step. If you spotted the horses first, you like to be ahead of everyone and live at full speed. You're rather impatient and get bored of tedious work that needs a lot of attention. Now, what catches your eye here? If it's a peaceful creek in the woods, you always see the big picture. You stay calm even when everyone around you is losing it. You always know how to choose the right option out of many quickly. If it's a grumpy face to you, you tend to overthink things and see a catch in every situation and offer. You don't make friends easily, but when you do, it's forever. Time for the next illusion. Those who see a face here, you have a bright mind and you like to keep it busy. You're good at solving tasks of any difficulty, and you come up with the best ideas. Those who see a beautiful lady in a dress in this one, you're artists at heart. You take inspiration almost from anything and anywhere. You write, paint, sing, or create music, and it makes you happy. This one's pretty plain, or is it? If you see an owl landing, you're a great team player and easy to work with. You don't mind sharing credit for what you've done with others. Sometimes you're too afraid to speak up. Remember, your ideas are worth it. If it's a girl looking in the distance to you, you have amazing communication skills. You feel comfortable even in front of the crowd and like to share everything about your life on social media. How about this one? If it's a waterfall to you, you love travel and explore new places. You aren't afraid of anything except for boredom. You always say yes to new adventures and places. If you see a young couple here, you're a true romantic. You believe that love always wins. Even when someone's mean to you, you forgive them easily and try to find an explanation for what they did. What are your thoughts on this image? If it's a person standing alone on a rock to you, you're mostly an introvert. You need your alone time to bring your thoughts in order and recharge. You don't have many friends, but you're loyal to them. If it's a face of a girl to you, you often live in the world of your dreams. You always try to improve your life and sometimes forget to see the good in everyday life. Try seizing the day every once in a while. What does this one look like to you? If it's a pattern of trees, you aren't afraid to tell the truth, no matter what it is. You have a point on anything, and it's not easy to make you change your mind. Sometimes it's okay to ask others for advice and follow it. If you see a girl with her back to you, you're afraid to hurt the feelings of others. You try to avoid conflict by all means, and sometimes agree with others just to make them feel better. What animal do you see first in this curious pattern? If the giraffe is the first animal you saw, you're funny, influential, and charismatic. Like me. You're spontaneous and always full of energy. That's why you have plenty of friends. You can convince anyone of anything. Use this talent wisely. If you spotted the cat first, you don't like talking a lot and prefer to watch from a distance and analyze what you see. You're independent and self-sufficient, so you make your own rules and follow them. If you saw the duck first, you are a 100% optimist. You enjoy every moment and enjoy looking on the bright side of life. You enjoy exploring new places, learning new skills, and your curiosity has absolutely no limits. If the elephant has caught your eye first, you are loyal and genuine. You care deeply about everything and everyone around you. Your family and friends know they can always ask you for help, and you'll solve any problem. In case you notice the bear first, you're logical and conservative. You have your own values, and you like to live by the rules. You're thoughtful and observant and aim for harmony. Those who paid attention to the rabbit, you're full of energy and spread joy like no other person. You've a great sense of humor and rich imagination. You like to share that happiness with others and easily become the soul of any party. In case the lion was the first animal you saw, you're a leader by nature. You like setting goals and achieving them, no matter how hard it gets. People gladly follow you because you're always 100% positive of your success. And if you saw an octopus, an optometrist is in your future because there's no octopus there. Time for an eye test. Just joking with you.
They say seeing is believing, but is it really? Optical illusions have a mind-boggling way to trick our brains. They use a combination of color, light, or particular patterns that can make us see things that aren't there. Today, we're taking our brains for a test drive and seeing how these illusions work. Let's start easy. Behind all of these little black dots, there's an image. Are you part of the 1% of people that can see it? It's a minion. Congrats if you spotted that. Here's another one in this style. Can you see what's hidden here? It's a ninja turtle. Honestly, you did need to be a bit of a ninja to see that one. And what about this one? It's Homer Simpson. So now there's something hidden behind black stripes. How's your X-ray vision working? You got it if you said it's one of the dragons from How to Train Your Dragon. That's cute. We're moving on to phase 2, so this will get a little bit trickier, okay? Your task is to find the fourth object in each image. You have 7 seconds to spot all 4 items. 3, 2, 1, go! Did anyone find the straw by any chance? Anyways, could you spot the nail? What was hardest for you to find? The egg or the button? So now we're going to step up our game. This is medium level difficulty and you'll have 7 seconds to find all 4 items. Ready? Go! Did anyone find the French fries? I sure didn't. Up next, 4 women and a baby. Yikes, this is hard. Could anyone spot the hair comb? Here's another one for you. Where on earth was that banana hiding? Good luck with this next one. So the envelope is hiding behind the bathroom pipe. I love black and white. But I'm still searching for that white egg, if you ask me. If this were my room, my mom would be telling me to clean it up ASAP. It took me a while to find that little birdie, but the mission was successful. Good morning, y'all. Oh, bummer, I couldn't find the book. Could you? What object can't you find here? I had trouble locating the brush. Too many details, too little time. I have to say,
you do have a pretty good eye for detail. But we're changing the game now. You know what they say. You need to keep changing the stimulus to make your brain work better and better. So now, it's emoji time. You'll have 4 seconds in this round. Did you see that one of them didn't have laughing tears? Where's the really sad emoji? And here I was thinking that clowns were supposed to be happy. I guess we all have our bad days, huh? What about this one? Oh, it's the browless one, isn't it? Can you spot the odd one? Oh, so it's a dairy-free burger. There's one with a different grin on its face. That's the one. I think your eyes are pretty warmed up now. So we'll move on to some hard-level optical illusions, okay? This first one is called the impossible triangle. But wait, what makes it so impossible? You have 7 seconds to figure that out. The so-called Penrose triangle is also known as the impossible triangle because it could never exist in reality. This magical triangle defies the laws of Euclidean geometry. If you follow the ball sliding on the surface of the triangle from the top point, you'll notice something strange. It looks like the left side of the triangle is extending away from the viewer, while the right side is closer to you. The Penrose triangle is the type of geometrical figure that can only exist as an optical illusion because this is what it looks like if we dismember it. Not a triangle at all, huh? And this next illusion is called the Pac-Man Chaser. You'll see why. Stare at the central cross for 5 seconds. The image appears to be in motion, doesn't it? And you might also see a green disc appear in between the lilac spheres from time to time. Now, this image allows us to witness 2 illusions simultaneously. Firstly, although the image appears to be in continuous motion, nothing here is moving, we promise. This phenomenon is known as the defy phenomenon. It happens when stationary objects are placed side by side and illuminated rapidly one after another, creating an illusion of movement. Now look at the center of the image again. Can you see the green disc? This second illusion is called an afterimage, and this happens when your brain tries to substitute an item with something else as the original item disappears. But why is it green, you might ask? That's because green is lilac's complementary color. If we were to change the color of the disc to blue, then the color of the gap changes to yellow, which is blue's complementary color. Neat, right? Can you stare at this parrot's eye for 15 seconds? Just keep staring at it. I'll tell you when you can close your eyes. You're about to witness another example of an afterimage. 3, 2, 1, and close your eyes. Can you see a red parrot? Isn't it amazing that even though this parrot is black and white, you have the illusion of seeing the color red? Again, this is just your brain trying to guess the color of something. Don't these snakes move beautifully? Except that, they're actually stationary. This classic optical illusion is caused by repeating asymmetrical patterns together with specific color schemes. The illusion mixes lighter colors like yellow and white with darker shades of blue and black. This combination makes your retina send signals to your brain, claiming that these circles are moving. If you want to debunk this illusion and see things as they really are, you need to stare straight at one part of the image. This way, you'll see that the rotation will slowly come to a stop. Take a look at this image. It looks like the square in the middle is breathing, right? Like it's growing in size and then shrinking? What if I told you that it's just rotating, but not changing its size? Here's what's happening. This illusion is called motion binding. It happens when our brain tries to predict the movement of one of the elements in the image. Crazy stuff! This one's another example of a motion binding illusion. These 4 bars seem to be moving in parallel with each other, right? Wrong! They are all part of the same moving square. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Our brain just gets confused. How many bars can you count here? This illusion has left the internet baffled. People have counted as many as 11 bars, but most people count between 8 and 7 bars. According to the creator of this image, there are only 6 complete bars. Try counting from top to bottom and you'll notice that the upper bars are real. But by the time you get to the sixth bar, things start to get blurry and confusing. That's because the last two bars are incomplete. So when you try making them out, they appear to multiply and only leave you more confused. If you trace your pointer down the seventh and eighth bars, you'll be able to see that they are incomplete. They were only put there to confuse you. Can you tell if the dark blue lines are parallel to each other or inclined? They sure look crooked, but in reality they are not. This classic optical illusion was first described over 100 years ago, but it wasn't until the 1970s that it got its current name, the cafe wall illusion. A guy named Steve Simpson noticed a similar effect on the wall of a cafe in Bristol, and here we are. Now let's see how this works. First, let's blur the image a little bit. Oh, a little bit more. There you go. This way you'll be able to see that the dark blue lines are parallel to each other. If you look closely, the little black and white bricks at the intersection of wide lines are what makes this illusion possible. In addition to that, the curved elements inside the blue lines help to make the elusive effect even stronger. If you look at this image attentively, you'll notice a moving square that appears to be changing in tone. What shades do you see? Dark, then light, then dark again? Wrong. The square doesn't change at all. The creator of this illusion is Japanese psychologist and artist Akiyoshi Kitaoka. According to him, you can see your own brain changing its guess about the color of the square. Color is already an illusion created by our brains. It so happens that color is created inside our visual systems. What our eyes perceive as blue is actually a wavelength that is reflected as that color. Moving on, take a look at this staircase. It looks pretty simple, right? Well, now let's flip the image upside down. It still looks like a staircase, but instead of going from right to left, it looks like it's going from left to right. But don't blink. If you blink, the illusion will disappear, and you will be left with the original image. Whoa. This illusion is known as Schroeder's staircase, and it was invented by German scientist Heinrich Schroeder back in 1858. It's simple, yet it reveals a fundamental mechanism of how our brain works. If we dismember the staircase, you'll notice that the image is flat. What our brain perceives as a 3D image is just a combination of shadow and light. This means that the 3D itself is already an optical illusion. This happens because our brain captures images and tries to fit them into what it already knows. So it sees a shadow in a 2D image and understands depth. Basically, it creates an unreal perspective of the object in front of our eyes. In this case, we call it a three-dimensional perspective. Up next, look at this black square crisscrossed with perpendicular white lines. If you look attentively, you'll notice that the white dots, situated at the intersection of the grid, shift their color from white to gray and back. When you concentrate on a particular dot, you see that it's white, but as soon as your attention wanders, the dot turns gray. That's the Hermann grid illusion. Amazing, isn't it? We can take this illusion one step further by positioning white dots at the intersection of gray lines. All are placed on top of the black background. If you look at this image long enough, you'll notice black dots starting to pop up at the intersections of the grid, creating a scintillating effect. Another name for this illusion is a simultaneous light contrast illusion. As you perceive the dots as white at one moment, and then, almost immediately, you see them as black. So why do our senses let us down by making us see gray or black instead of white? This illusion demonstrates one of the most important principles of human perception. You don't always see things for what they are. The retinal cells in our eyes act as light receptors. When only one receptor gets illuminated, it perceives more light than when its colleagues are also illuminated. This prevents the firing of nearby receptors. With the Hermann grid illusion, the white lines are arranged in such a way that there's more light around the intersections than along the lines themselves. Thus, the dots at the intersections are more inhibited, and you see darker spots. What do you say? Did your eyes pass the test? I guess mine did, but my brain is a little bit tired. See you next time.
How many colors do you see here? If your answer is 3, you're not wrong. Do you think it's 17? Could be.
What?
Although the image went viral just recently, the explanation to this mystery is at least a century and a half old. It was discovered by an Austrian math and physics professor, Mach. He noticed you can easily distinguish between similar colors of slightly contrasting shades when they're close to each other. When you set them apart, the difference is barely noticeable. The professor thought it had something to do with the construction of the eyeball and the tissue the retina is made of. The bands effect was later named Mach bands in his honor. Years later, when they had better technology, scientists found the professor was basically right. Your retina is similar to a cinema screen. It captures light that's projected through the pupil. Receptors are all over that screen. Some of them are more active under bright light and send a whole lot of signals to the brain. When two cells send similar signals, you might think it's the same shade. Nerves are trying to solve this problem. They send stronger signals to make the difference more obvious at the border of different shades. Your brain then notices a clear boundary. This explains why you can see the difference between similar shades when they're next to each other. The transition between colors can look like a separate color. Some people can't see the difference between contrasting colors in the picture because of how their brains are built. The color rendering abilities, brightness, and contrast of your laptop or smartphone screen is another reason. Then there's also the amount of lighting in your house or office. Plus, you don't have the same optics in your eyes that screen light as anyone else. You also have a unique level of pigment density that affects how your eyes absorb light. You could even have more than regular 3 cone cell types and see more colors than others. And some people are more affected by the Mach bands phenomenon than others. That's why there's no correct answer to how many colors the image contains. Sometimes uncertainty can make different people see one thing differently. The dress that was somehow gold and white, blue and black, blue and white, and blue at the same time became a real sensation. The picture was taken on a cell phone in a really weird lighting and overexposed. You can't tell if it was taken inside or outside, and that means you don't know if it's artificial or natural light. It's not clear if the light illuminates the dress from the front or the back. If it were backlit, there would have to be a shadow. Parts of the dress itself were in shadow. That shadow was reflecting off the dress itself, complicating things even more. Confused? Me too. When your brain doesn't have enough information, it fills in the gaps by making its own assumptions. It mostly makes them based on what it's previously seen or known. That's why your brain could make one guess about lighting conditions and someone else's a totally different one. People who thought it was in a shadow believed the dress was white and gold. Same with those who thought it was in natural light. Shadows and blue sky overrepresent blue light and make things seem yellowish. Oh, and the retailer of the dress officially confirmed it was black and blue, and that it was sold out in the first 30 minutes of business the day after it had gone viral. A new debate over the color of retro sneakers happened a few years later for the same reason. Are they teal and gray, or maybe pink and white? You can't be sure with weird camera quality, flash, and funky lighting. When you zoom in on the picture, you can notice the hand is unnaturally bluish. So, depending on how sensitive your eyes are to light and how your brain fills the visual information gaps, the sneakers can look different to you. In reality, they turned out to be pink and white. Do these strawberries look red to you? In fact, they're gray and green. The picture has been drained of any red. Your brain still makes you see it because of something known as color constancy. Your brain can sometimes ignore information from the color of the light. It knows what strawberries are, and it also knows they're supposed to be red, so it helps you see them as such. When an astronaut posted a picture of some sand dunes, the internet thought they were pits, not hills. Only when they flipped the pic over, people could see dunes in the indefinite pattern. Turns out your brain thought the sun was in the 1 o'clock position. It means it's supposed to be casting shadows from the upper right. In reality, it was casting shadows from the upper left. So, turning it upside down makes things more usual to your brain. How many black spots can you see in this image? There are 12 of them, but most people can't see them all at once. All the dots are perfectly visible, but you can see each of them only when you look directly at it. Your peripheral vision isn't that perfect. Your brain has to fill in the blanks. The white between gray lines makes it think the dots are lighter than they are, so it decides to pretend there's just grayer and the dots aren't there. Although one of them looks twice the size of the other, these guys are of the same size. They're placed in an Ames room, invented by an American ophthalmologist in the 1940s. You'd have to look into a pinhole at a room that seems to be a regular square but is a trapezoid. The walls and ceilings are tilted, and this makes your eyes see one person tower over another even when they move around. If you have a toy train track at home, you can see how the next illusion works in reality. You take two segments of the same size and put them next to each other. One of them looks obviously larger than the other one. That's because your brain compares the two sides of the pieces that are next to each other. It compares the right side of the track that's on the left to the left side of the track that's on the right. When you compare squares A and B in the checker shadow illusion, you can tell square A is much darker than square B. Your brain expects the cylinder to throw a shadow on the board. It compensates for the alternating colors it expected to find. If you still don't believe the squares are of the same color, you can compare them with a color selector in any photo editing program. In the Ebbinghaus illusion, the two circles in the middle of their circle sets are of the same size. Turns out the way you perceive the size of things is all about context. The circle surrounded by larger ones seems smaller, and the one in the company of smaller circles seems to be a giant. There are 12 dots here, all of them are lilac. Your task is to stare at the cross in the middle of the dot ring. As one lilac dot disappears for a moment, a green dot takes its place. It also gradually wipes away other lilac dots one by one as it moves around the circle. This is the after-image effect in action. The rods and cones adjust to the constant disappearance of lilac dots. They replace it with a color from the opposite end of the spectrum, which is green. Seeing motion in a still image is one of the most common types of optical illusions. To create one, you have to build a pattern of high-contrast colors. They activate neural signals at the same time. This is how the fake motion effect appears. Café wall illusion was first described in the late 19th century. The tile pattern of a café wall had straight parallel lines and grout in between them. It seemed the black and white lines sloped diagonally. That's because different types of neurons in your brain react to dark and light colors. Some parts of the grout line seem brighter than others. Where there's contrast, there appears to be asymmetry. You know, scientists claim that the way your brain perceives and analyzes information can reveal a lot about your personality. Look at each of these optical illusions for a couple of seconds. What you see first can say a lot about who you are. Number 1. If the first thing you saw was a tree, you tend to pay too much attention to details, but you're great at feeling the mood of other people. It makes you a tactful and empathetic person. And if you spotted a couple facing each other, you're logical, calm, and rational. You know how to reason with people, even when they're upset or nervous. Number 2. If you saw a car in this picture, you treasure your freedom. You like it when things go according to your plan. That's why it's often hard for you to make fast decisions. If you thought it was a man holding binoculars, you don't usually pay too much attention to details. Instead, you focus on the big picture. But maybe you noticed the letter A first. Then you have a rare ability to spot things other people miss. You're extremely intuitive and can think outside the box. Numero 3. If the first thing you see in the picture is 2 thumbs, you're a great leader and an excellent organizer. You're ready to take responsibility, and you understand what consequences your actions will have. And if you spotted an eruption, you have an altruistic personality. You're interested in people and want to help them. And here's number 4. If it's a monkey you notice first, that's my picture. No, actually, you're an independent person. It's crucial for you to have some personal space. If you saw a tiger, you don't mind taking risks. You believe nothing is impossible if you try hard enough. 5. If the first thing you saw was several trees in front of a sunset, you're very perceptive and easygoing. If you spotted a feline's face, you're a determined person. You always stick to the decisions you make and move towards your goal no matter what. 6. If the first thing you noticed in this image was an outline of a face, you're likely to be an introvert. You don't like noisy parties. They make you feel worn out, both physically and emotionally. If you saw a saxophonist, you're more extroverted. You love socializing, and people fall all over themselves to make friends with you. But remember to rest and not to burn out. 7. If you only saw some nature in this image, your life is full of different events at the moment. You don't like routine, choosing to mix up your activities. This way, you'll never do the same stuff several days in a row. If you noticed a face hidden in this image, it's facing the bottom of the frame. You're an organized person. You find it hard to live without a plan. It makes you feel unsafe. 8. If you saw zebras more clearly, you love talking and enjoy being surrounded by people. Making new acquaintances is your hobby. You don't like following boring routines. If it was a lion that stood out in the image, you prefer a calmer lifestyle. You'd rather spend some quality time with your few trusted friends and your family. Having too many people around drains your energy, which makes you avoid crowded places. 9. If you saw a face in this image, you're approachable and laid back. People feel that you care. That's why they often unload their problems on you. But maybe the first thing you paid attention to was someone waving a magic wand at a kneeling figure. Then you're an ambitious person. Whatever you do, you gotta do it better than others. 10. If it was a cat that stood out in the image, you probably don't like changes. People know they can rely on you. At the same time, you tend to keep your feelings and emotions in check. If you saw a face, you're a creative person. You love learning new things, and your intuition helps you find opportunities literally everywhere. If the first thing that jumped out at you was a cliff, you can tackle pretty much any problem, all thanks to your positive outlook on life. Number 11. Is it a large, serious cat in the image? Then you're a realist when it comes to life. You see the big picture, and it helps you deal with problems. But if it's a mouse that caught your attention, you're an optimist. You try to find something positive in any situation, and in most cases, you succeed. 12. If you saw a woman's face in this picture, you often rely on your intuition, and it doesn't usually let you down. You're also attentive to what's happening in the world around you. But what if you focused on flowers? Then you're someone who often feels the need to slow down and relax in nature. 13. If a cute round face was what you noticed first, you're a sensitive and friendly person. You don't like conflicts and try to deal with disagreements in a peaceful way. If you paid attention to two birds, you're cheerful and outgoing. You love meeting new people. 14. If you saw an elephant, you're loyal to your friends and respectful to your family. People like your friendly and considerate personality. They also appreciate what a great listener you are. If you paid attention to a small village, you're quite traditional. You prefer a peaceful and simple lifestyle over a city bustle. 15. If it was the pillars that attracted your attention, you value comfort and security. It can be hard for you to break out of your comfort zone. If the image of two people popped out at you, your life is never dull. Curious and adventurous, you're ready to change your surroundings at the drop of a hat. So, somebody drop a hat. Whoops, there you go. 16. If you noticed a woman first, you have an analytical and thoughtful mind. You tend to be practical, which some people mistake for being cold-hearted. If you first saw an old man, you have a sensitive and compassionate personality. You're also creative and artistic. 17. Did you see two crocodiles facing each other? Then you always try to be in control of every situation in your life. If you noticed a bird first, you don't mind following instructions coming from other people. It doesn't mean you don't have your own opinion, but you're always ready to find a middle ground. 18. If you paid attention to a lady's face first, your brain's right hemisphere is developed better than the left one. You're an artistic person with high emotional intelligence. And if you saw a man playing the saxophone, your left brain. Logic is your strong suit. You excel at analytical thinking and numbers. 19. If you first spotted a crocodile, you're likely quite practical and prefer to avoid risks. Sometimes you tend to focus on negative things happening around you, so don't forget to relax and enjoy life. If you noticed a boat with 2 people in it sailing along the river, you have a great eye for details. You have a creative personality and can find a way out of any tricky situation. 20. If you saw a young woman, you have a joyful and optimistic personality. You perceive things in a positive light, but sometimes you can be too impulsive. If you noticed an old woman first, you have a lot of life experience. It helps you look at all situations from various perspectives. 21. Did you spot a duck first? Quack. Then you're a highly intuitive, creative type with a rich imagination. If the first thing you noticed was a rabbit, you have outstanding analytical skills. You must be great at writing, reading, and figuring out logical solutions to all kinds of problems. 22. If you saw a squirrel, you're great at analyzing things. Your logical thinking helps you process facts and find solutions amazingly fast. If what jumped out at you at first was a duck, your talents are more on the creative side of things. 23. Most people spot a frog in this image right away. If you're one of them, you're self-confident and thus relaxed. You communicate with others in a direct, honest, and sincere way. And if you saw a horse, you're always trying to get to the deeper meaning of things. You have your own opinion, and nothing people say can sway it. 24. If it was a candlestick that attracted your attention first, you usually see a situation as a whole. Only after figuring out the big picture, you spring into action. And if you notice 2 faces first, you have the ability to concentrate on details. It's extremely important for you to surround yourself with positive people and get their support. So what happens when your brain can't believe your eyes? Not a daydream, I'll give you that. It's something much cooler and enigmatic. We call it an optical illusion. Let's take your brain for a test drive and check out how it works. Look at this image for a few moments. Pay attention to the patterns of the circles. Are they moving or are they still? I'll bet your brain is perceiving them in motion, but in reality, these circles are as still as a rock. After all, this is not a video or a GIF. It's a still image. Let's try another one. Focus on the little black dot on the left side of the screen. In what direction is the object on the right moving? Is it moving up and down, or is it going diagonally? Remember, focus on the black dot to your left. It looks like the object is moving diagonally, right? Well, as crazy as it may sound, it is actually moving up and down in a vertical line. Try tracing it with your finger and check it out for yourself. The moving object alternates between blinking in black and white and confuses your senses. If this doesn't make your brain spiral, I don't know what will. Let's get down to the science behind it. The last image we saw is part of a study from Dr. Patrick Kavanaugh, a neuroscientist from Dartmouth College. He claims optical illusions have the power to show how our brains really work. According to this study, our brains can bend our perception of reality. The elements we recognize are usually the ones that are familiar to us. In this case, it's the black dot. But the moving objects trick your brain and creates a backlog. The truth is, your sensory system is slower than what is happening before your eyes. Now wait a minute. If this is true, then that means you're looking into the present but actually seeing the past. Yup, that's exactly the case. We are not seeing what is happening now, but rather what happened hundreds of milliseconds ago. It's like when you hear an echo of yourself speaking on the phone. It goes like this. Light hits the retinas at the back of your eyeballs. This stimulus converts into an electric signal that travels to the visual processing system at the back of your brain. The signal travels to the front of your brain, and only then are you able to create an image. So to sum it up, the time it takes for you to process reality can cause mismatches. So what you see is not 100% of the time the same as what is actually going on. Try this image. This optical trick is called the flash lag illusion. Pay attention to the red dot. The green dot flashes exactly when both dots are in perfect alignment, but it sure doesn't look that way. Your brain perceives the red dot as farther ahead. No matter how many times you go back to it, the dots will never look like they are perfectly aligned. Now, color. One of the trickiest things for our brains to process, which means optical illusions jackpot. Here's where the gold really is. Or should I say, here is where the blue really is. To quote that viral dress, people couldn't decide if it was white and gold or blue and black. Someone took a bad cell phone photo in the UK store and broke the internet. But all is not lost. Dr. Pascal Wallisch, a neuroscientist at New York University, claims he knows the difference between the two groups of people. He did an online survey with 13,000 people, and the results were really odd. The difference between a person that sees blue and black or gold and white depends on the time they naturally sleep and wake up. Night owls, or people that like sleeping and waking up late, were more likely to see the dress as black and blue, while larks, also known as the early birds, are more likely to see it as white and gold. Why are these things connected, you ask? Early birds spend more time in daylight than the night owls, so when they look at that poorly lit photo, they project the way they are used to seeing things on a daily basis. In this case, they're used to seeing things bathed in sunlight, so they assume that's what's lighting the dress. The result is a perception of the dress as white and gold. The same would happen for those that see it as blue and black. The main difference is that these people are used to artificial light, since most of their waking hours happen during the night. When there is a gap in our perception of the world, our brain fills it up with what we're most familiar with. It's like a default setting. It happens automatically. Now, look at this image. A moving square appears to be changing in color. What colors do you see? Gray, then pink, then gray again? Wrong. The square doesn't change colors at all. The creator of this illusion is a Japanese psychologist and artist. According to him, you can see your own brain changing its guess about the color of the square. Color is already an illusion created inside our visual systems. What our eyes perceive as blue is actually a wavelength that is reflected as that color. Neuroscientists say about 40% of our brain is involved in vision. Visual signals are dispersed to more than 30 areas of our brain. Each area has a special function in processing color, motion, depth, and form. All this information is combined and voila! We're able to distinguish shape and color. Strangely enough, neuroscientists still don't understand the details of how all this happens. Now, are you familiar with this image? How many colors can you count here? 3, 5, 11, or maybe 17? Someone shared it on social media, and the internet went nuts about it. The person who posted it said they saw 3 colors. Someone else saw 17 colors and marked them with black dots so that other viewers could count the same. One iPhone owner with maximum brightness counted 26 colors here. So, what is the true answer after all? Well, it's hard to say for sure. And we can definitely blame our cell phone screens for adding to the confusion. But there is science behind this. Let's get to the core of it. Australian physicist Dr. Ernst Mach described this phenomenon a century and a half ago. So today, we call these bands Mach bands in his honor. Back in 1885, Mach was studying an illusion similar to the one in this image. There were similar colors of slightly contrasting shades. You can easily distinguish between them when they are side to side, but it's really hard to tell them apart when they're separated. His guess was that this illusion was happening on the retina, and guess what? His guess was spot on. Researchers with far superior technology confirmed the illusion was caused by a retinal behavior called lateral inhibition. Now let's say the retina is a cinema screen. It captures the light projected by the pupil, that tiny dot at the center of your eyes. This screen is covered with light receptors. These receptors react differently depending on the intensity of light they receive. So, the retina receives a stronger stimulus from a brighter shade than from a darker shade. Lateral inhibition means that when these shades are side by side, the louder stimulus doesn't let the brain perceive the darker stimulus in its entirety. So, instead of perceiving 100% of both colors, we perceive maybe 80% of the brighter color and 40% of the darker one. Even knowing all of this, our eyesight will still play tricks on us. Each time I check out this image, I count different numbers of shades. Now, what is your favorite optical illusion? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, focus on the middle of the blurry image and try to stare at it without blinking. After some time, you'll notice that the picture starts to fade away. This visual illusion is called the Troxler effect, or Troxler fading. Its main idea is that your neurons stop reacting to the stimuli that remain unchanged over a period of time. In this case, it's the blurry picture in the background. This results in the image disappearing from your consciousness. Look at these two tables. Are they different in shape and size? Most people will answer that they are, but in fact, they're exactly the same. Here, you can make sure yourself. You perceive the tables differently because your mind can't but make a 3D model out of the 2D picture. And then, it's all about perspective foreshortening. That's the visual effect when an object appears shorter than it is when it's angled towards you. Look at the white spot in the middle of the red circle. The longer you stare at it, the better. Soon after you start, you'll notice a thin ring of light. It'll surround the edges of the circle. Keep looking for some more time. Remember to keep your head perfectly still. After that, slowly move your head backward. Your eyes should remain glued to the dot at all times. The edges of the circle will soon start to glow bright cyan. If you continue to move your head back, the color will become brighter and brighter. The coolest thing about this illusion is that the ultra cyan you see isn't in your monitor's color palette. Concentrate on the cross in the middle of this moving image and look at it for a half a minute or so. You'll begin to see a green spot running around the circle. It seems to be erasing the magenta dots from the gray background. But once you move your eyes, the magenta spots are all there again. This phenomenon is also known as the lilac chaser illusion. Tile A on the checkerboard looks way darker than tile B. But if you look at the tiles independently, you can make sure they're actually exactly the same color. This illusion is a perfect example of how your brain uses its previous experience to interpret everything it sees. In the picture, some light is falling onto the surface, and there's also a cylinder that casts a shadow over the dark and light tiles. This fools your mind into believing that tile B is the lightest. When most people see this image, they immediately spot a triangle. It's formed by the three figures. Each of them looks like a pizza with a missing piece. This triangle also looks brighter than the background. In reality, though, there's no triangle, and the whole picture has the same brightness. This optical illusion proves that when a textured object is positioned against a plain background, it seems to be brighter and have more contrast. But if the background is also textured and high contrast, the object becomes less visible. Here, your brain works in a similar way it does when you see something from a distance or through the fog. Then, with a lack of light falling on your retina, your brain can interpret images incorrectly. The same happens with a low-contrast object on a gray background. Now, sit at a comfortable distance away from the screen. Then start to move closer toward the center of the image. You'll immediately notice that the white light in the middle expands and becomes brighter. Start moving back and forth. The image will keep changing, becoming dimmer and then lighter again. This phenomenon is known as the breathing light illusion. Look at this image attentively. You're likely to say that the black stripe lines up with the blue one, but in fact, the black line is connected with the red one. You see it once the part keeping the lines out of sight becomes transparent. This grid looks nice and even in the middle. Closer to the sides, though, it gets all messed up. But there's a way to fix it. Stare at the center of the grid. After some time, you'll notice that the edges have started to arrange themselves into a more regular pattern. Scientists aren't sure, but it might happen because your brain likes order. That's why it does everything possible to help you see the world in an orderly way. Now look at the black square crisscrossed with white perpendicular lines. The spots where the lines cross change their color from white to gray and back. When you focus on a particular spot, you see that it's white. But as soon as your attention wanders, the spot turns gray. This is called the Hermann grid illusion. And now, how about we take it one step further? This time, there are white dots placed at the intersection of gray lines. Look at this image attentively. You'll notice black dots that will start to pop up at the intersections. Plus, you're likely to perceive the dots as white at one moment, and then, almost immediately, you'll see them as black. When you look at this image, it may seem to you that the horizontal gray lines are slightly curved, but in reality, they're parallel. This illusion is possible thanks to the high contrast between the two different types of bricks, white and black. When your brain interprets the picture, it stretches dark zones into light ones. That's what causes the warping effect. The image you see is actually not animated. It's hard to believe, but choose a part of the picture and focus on it. You'll see that the dots have stopped moving. The movement you observe is an example of the phenomenon called the peripheral drift illusion. It happens because your brain needs different periods of time to process objects of different brightness. Look at the center of the screen. After several seconds, you'll notice that the flickering circles are moving, but in reality, they stay in one place. If you want some proof, try focusing on one of the circles and you'll see that it's stationary. This illusion is possible because that's how your brain interprets small changes in gradient. While looking at the picture, most people see a semi-transparent cyan circle. It overlays a part of the image. But guess what? There's no blue circle. This illusion is known as neon color spreading. It occurs because your brain gets tricked into adding some non-existent color to the image. In this picture, all the images look like a watercolor painting. But of course, it's just an illusion. There are no real shades here, only lines. This visual phenomenon is called the watercolor illusion. Good name. It occurs when a flat shape has a bright line as its border. An obligatory condition, this bright line should be accompanied by another. This one darker but of a complementary color. Your brain then automatically fills in the shape with the lighter color. What you see in this picture looks like a spiral disappearing into nowhere, right? Well, not exactly. That's your brain playing tricks on you. Try running your finger along the entire length of the spiral. Easier said than done. That's because the spiral isn't actually a spiral. It's a series of circles that have the same center. That's the Fraser spiral illusion. Because of the background pattern, your brain gets confused, and it ends up supplying you with the wrong information. When asked, you're likely to say that the vertical line is longer than the horizontal one, but they both are actually of the same length. This is a simple optical illusion called the vertical-horizontal illusion. The way the vertical line is positioned makes your brain believe that it's further from you, and thus it must be longer than the horizontal line. In this image, you see two orange circles. Each of them is surrounded by several gray circles. But in the first case, the gray circles are way larger than the orange one, and the second orange circle is accompanied by much smaller gray circles. You can't deny that the right orange circle seems to be bigger, but this is only, an illusion. It's based on your perception of relative size. Your brain gets tricked into believing that things are bigger when they're surrounded by smaller objects. What you see on the screen is known as the Necker cube. If you don't have any other visual cues, it's impossible to figure out the cube's true orientation. Sometimes it may seem that its front-facing side points toward the lower left, and in the next moment, you might realize it's oriented toward the top right. Watch the movement of the blue and yellow feet. They seem to step forward one by one. But try not looking at these stripes, but between them. You'll see they're actually moving simultaneously. You'll have 10 seconds for each optical illusion, so don't dilly-dally. Look at it and remember what you saw first. It can tell a bunch about your character. If you saw the pillars first, looks like you prefer comfort and security over most things. Try breaking out of your comfort zone at least sometimes and see what happens. If you saw the people first, you must be a free spirit ready to change your life at the slightest chance. Regular means dull to you. If you saw the old man first, you're a gentle soul who cares about others a lot. You believe there's something good in every person. If you saw the woman first, you're more of an analytical and thoughtful person. You're always prepared for the worst from others. Can you see the face of a dog here? You must be super friendly and always in the center of attention. You're also protective and loyal. If it's a dog's tail to you, you're most likely more reserved and don't trust people easily. Does it look like a bunch of flowers, leaves, and branches to you? You most likely spend a lot of time in your dreams. If you really want to achieve them, try making little steps toward them. Can you see a face here? You're attached to other people a lot. Remember, you're also worthy of love, and do more of what makes you happy. If you notice the crocodile first, you often take the little things for granted. Take a moment to look at the sky or admire a beautiful flower. All these things make life happier. If you saw the boat first, you've got a good eye for small details, and not much gets past you unnoticed. Remember, the big picture is important too. Did you see people listening to music first? Looks like you use your right brain more than your left one. It means you're more artsy than practical and logical. Did you notice two faces here? You most likely use the left side of your brain more than the right side. Your analytical and thoughtful mind will take you a long way in your career. Those who noticed a woman walking through the door, you belong to the rarest group of people with a unique vision of the world. You can find unexpected solutions to any problem. Does it look like two hands to you? You must be a practical person who doesn't take many risks. You live more on the cautious side of things and don't make much room for new experiences. If it's clearly an elephant to you, you're curious and love exploring. If you ever have a chance to settle down, try it. Stability can be fun too. If you saw the dog first, your home means the world to you. You'd do anything for your family and wouldn't move to another place even for all the money in the world. If you saw the river first, you appreciate your freedom the most. You don't like to be told what to do or how to live your own life. If it looks like a face to you, you never stop learning new things. You're ready to invest a lot of time and money in self-improvement. If you saw the raven first, you're a pretty stubborn person. When you believe you're right, it's not easy to convince you otherwise. Is it clearly a bunny to you? You're sweet and somewhat shy. Remember, your opinion also matters, so don't be afraid to speak up. Do you see two cats here? You must be happily in love. You can share anything with your partner and they make you a better version of you. Do you see a dog here? Your career and self-improvement are more important to you than relationships at the moment. Use this time to learn and grow and enjoy it. If you saw the mouse first, you're a hard-working person. It's easier for you to follow the commands of others. You can find an approach to any person at work. If you saw the cat first, you aren't the best team player and prefer to do things yourself. You plan your work yourself and give it your all. You like to take all the credit for what you do. Just one question here. Is the cat going up or down? If you think it's headed up, you're an optimist. You believe you can overcome anything in life if you keep the positive outlook. If you think it's headed down, you're more of a realist. You accept things the way they are and don't rely on miracles to change your life for the better. If you saw the mountain here first, you're more of an introvert. You feel good in your own company and need your alone time to be more productive. If you saw the faces first, you can't survive a day without people. Even a little chat makes you happier. Does it look like a huge head to you? You probably have some important decision to make. Try to let things go. Some problems solve themselves over time. Do you clearly see a tree here? You must feel pretty happy with your life right now. If you saw the door first, you must be a practical person. You're always true to your word. If you saw the coastline first, you clearly need some vitamin C right now. Now you have 10 seconds to read this secret message. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, isn't it? You have 10 seconds to find the only turtle among these leaves. Well done! One of these balls is a button. Do you see it? Great job! A croissant clearly doesn't belong under the sea. Find it in 10 seconds. Here it is. There's plenty of fish in the sea, and one of them is a candy. Can you find it? Yep, it's right here. And now I give you 10 seconds to find a butterfly among these birds. Bingo! What a cute group of raccoons. One of them stands out though. Can you find it? Great job! The Earth is one of a kind, and one of these images of it isn't like the others. Yes, it's this one right here. What are you wearing tonight? Maybe one of these dresses will do. If you pick the most unique one, you did the right thing. So much love right here. Can you tell the odd one out? This heart has a slightly different mouth. Party time! Which of these emojis doesn't belong here? You got it! Too many sad faces in one place. Can you find the one that's not like the others? Fantastic! You deserve a snack. Find 5 differences between these two hamburgers. Good job! Time for dessert. These pictures are different in 5 little things. You have 10 seconds to spot them. It's all about details. Time to fly. Only those who find 5 differences between the pictures are allowed to take off. Welcome aboard! That must be an interesting place to live in. Find 5 differences between these two constructions. Excellent! One of these merry-go-rounds is different from the other in 5 ways. Name them all. Wow, you could be a detective. Same task, different picture. Aha! Teddy Bear approves. Are you afraid of heights? Then don't get on the Ferris wheel. Just find 5 differences between the pictures. Impressive! Things look pretty crazy out here, and one picture is crazier than the other in 5 ways. Can you name them all? Wow, I didn't see this one coming. And now it's time for the most difficult task of them all. You have to see what's hidden and almost invisible. I give you 10 seconds for each task as usual. Time's up. Did you see the handshake? Taking it one level up. I hope you managed to spot this sea monster. Are you serious? Hope you can read between the lines and through color. Bingo! These eyes are just for you. And now, it's time for the most difficult task of the day. Here it is. Drum roll. It's a crocodile. And if you manage to see it, you can apply for the job of a detective right now. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.